Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. In this video, we are covering the perform qualitative risk analysis process. Now, if you're into reading articles, first link in the description is going to take you to a related article on this topic over at our official website pmclounge.com. So check the first link out. Also, if you want to go over every single video that we have done on risk management knowledge area right from the beginning, check out the second link in the description. It contains the entire playlist of risk management knowledge area. So two important links, check them out. Let's get started. So how many risks are we talking about here? How many risks are we looking at? So in the previous process, which was identify risks, you were supposed to identify risks, obviously, as the name goes. Now, a question that you should have asked then was, how long will you keep identifying the risks? How long will the project team work on this process and simply go on identifying risks? Because there will come a point when you would say that aliens attacking the company headquarter is also a risk. Of course, it is a risk, right? But when it comes down to this, that your project team cannot think of project related risks and come up with risks that sound like alien invasion, that is where it is important to draw a line, right? So you should think now on the possibility of the occurrence of these risks, how likely an alien invasion really is. When you think around that, it becomes important that you plan only for those risks that have better odds of materializing, right? You should not be spending the energy of the project team in coming up with risks and identifying risks like alien invasion, which have very less or zero probability, to be frank. So think of risks which have higher probability. And yes, I do agree with this sentence. Alien invasion does sound dangerous. And that is why not just the probability of occurrence, the impact if a risk were to materialize is also something that you should look into. Alien invasion is, of course, only symbolic of every single risk which has very less probability of occurrence. But if it were to occur, the impact is going to be huge. And that is the reason why you should study the perform qualitative risk analysis process, and not just study, but also implement it in your projects. Let's put all of this together in the next few slides. But before that, where are we on the PGKA mapping? So here we are, project risk management. This is the knowledge area. Planning process group is the process group, and perform qualitative risk analysis. This is the process that we are discussing. Of course, there are a handful of processes in risk management knowledge area. It is an important knowledge area, and that is why I'd urge you to look at the second link in the description, which contains every single video that we have done on this topic. Let's move on. A quick reminder though, before we move on, if you're looking for PMP book recommendations, head over to pmclounge.com/resources. That's where we have listed our favorite books. All right, now let's talk about this process. Perform qualitative risk analysis. You are doing two things here. Number one is how likely a risk is to occur, and number two, what would its impact be if it were to materialize. So those are the two things you are analyzing about all the risks in your project. Now, all the risks in your project, they can be categorized into four divisions. Let's look at that in the next slide. So these are the four divisions. Number one, a risk that has high probability and high impact, which means there's a high probability that the risk is going to materialize. And if it did materialize, its impact is going to be huge. Obviously, right off the gate, this is the kind of risk that you should be most worried about. And worrying is not a solution. So you should be spending a lot of your project team's energy on addressing risks that fall in the first category, that is high probability of occurrence and high impact if they were to occur. Number two is low probability but high impact. That's where these alien invasion sort of risks are going to land up. The probability of their occurrence is very, very low, but if they did occur, the impact is going to be huge. Number three is low probability and low impact. Do you think your project team should be spending their project time on risks that have low probability of occurrence, and even if they occurred, the impact to the project is negligible? Of course not. So your project team should not be spending time on these risks. Number four is high probability of occurrence but very low impact. So let's say there's a turbulence going on in your city, and it is likely, very likely, that for the next 3 days the entire city is going to shut down and nobody will be allowed to go to the office. The office will be closed. The entire city is shut, and there is a high probability of this risk materializing. But the impact on your 2 year long project is negligible because those 3 days can be absorbed. The activities that your project team is working on are not critical path activities. So, although there's a risk of the entire city shutting down, nobody being allowed out on the roads, there's a high probability of this risk materializing, but the impact of this risk on the project is pretty low. So those are the four categories of risks from your perform qualitative risk analysis process. So what's the lowdown with this process? End of the day, perform qualitative risk analysis process helps you prioritize or rank risks for further analysis and action. That's what we did in the previous slide, right? We gave first rank, or we gave the top priority to the risks which were high probability and high impact risks, right? The probability of their occurrence was very high. The impact, if they did materialize, was very, very high, and that's why they were ranked number one. Those are the kind of risks your project team should be working on, trying to make sure that they are contained. So here's the question for this video. Now, over here at pmclounge.com, let me remind you, we don't really stress too much on the ITTOs, or the inputs, tools and techniques and outputs, because we believe PMP exam is not just about memorizing the ITTOs. It is about understanding why certain items are required as inputs, what could be the possible tools and techniques, and what could be the possible outputs of a process. It is about creating that understanding rather than memorizing all the ITTOs. So based on your understanding, can you think of the inputs required for this process? Do you need a list of risks before you can uh, do your analysis and come up with whether these risks are high probability, high impact or not? Do you need that list of risks? If yes, what document has that list of risks? We discussed that in one of our previous videos. So that's a hint for you. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? What are some of the inputs required for this process? And that is all that we had in this video. Hope you got value out of it. Smash that like button. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified whenever we upload new videos. And don't forget to check out the website pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP resource. Thank you.